little princess. He put me gently on my feet. I started carrying an armful of gifts to my room. Wait, they all said. You can't stay in that room. It's too small. We will organize the best guest room and turn it into your room, Alex said. This should have made me happy, but it actually made me angry suddenly. So this room isn't good enough for me now, but it was good enough when you didn't give a shit? I snapped. I immediately regretted saying that. I waited for the huge argument to start. They were quiet. If you're not ready for your new room yet, that's okay, but I'm very uncomfortable with you staying there. It's not even a bedroom, and it's a complete disgrace that my parents put you there, said Alex. We did not talk anymore as we moved the gifts to my room and went back down the stairs where everyone was still waiting impatiently for the birthday boys. Boys, said Luna Ronnie, narrowing her eyes. Where have you been? She seemed shocked to see me coming down the stairs with them. Do another lap to see if anyone needs more champagne, she ordered me. Rhonda handed me a fresh tray filled with glasses. The party planner had a smug look on her face. Alex took the tray from me again and put it on the floor this time. Alex, said Ronnie to her eldest son. Let's start the toast, said Alpha Romeo. The pack members cheered. Everyone gathered around the grand staircase, and Alpha Romeo stood a few steps up so that everyone could see him. The triplets pulled me with them to the same step as Alpha Romeo. The Luna, who stood next to her husband, was eyeing me suspiciously. I was pretty sure she was putting 2 and 2 together, or in this case, 1 and 3 together. Alpha Romeo began his speech. It literally started with him meeting his mate, the Luna, their love, their wedding, honeymoon, childless years, having the triplets, their childhood, their teenage years, and now their manhood and ascension to alphas. It made literally no mention of me, despite me being there for the past 9 years since the triplets were 12, but the Alpha and Luna truly viewed me as a servant. So I knew I should not expect to be mentioned. A lot of people kept glancing at me, wondering why I was there in the limelight. I tried to descend the stairs a few times, but Alex kept grabbing my wrist. Felix put his hand absent-mindedly on my behind. I stifled a gasp. He squeezed it and rubbed it gently. I started to cream my clothes. I glared at him and he blew me a kiss, which many people noticed. I present to you Alpha Alex, Alpha Felix, and Alpha Calix Thorn, the triplet alphas, boomed former Alpha Romeo using his alpha voice for the last time. The pack members cheered. Their screams were deafening. Many girls shrieked and squealed over the triplet alphas. The alpha triplets went around the room to be congratulated by important pack members. They dragged me with them. No one asked about me, but everyone's eyes darted to me. Finally, the Luna could take it no more. She marched her sons, me, and the former alpha into the kitchen. The party planner nosily followed us. Since when are you 3 so close with Charity? Asked the Luna. It's Chastity, Mom, said Felix. Sorry, said the Luna. People truly thought my name was Charity, so I never held it against them. She's our mate, said Alex, getting straight to the point. There was utter silence. And you've accepted her as your mate? Said Romeo. I felt a little offended. Of course, said Calix. We want her more than anything. My cheeks burned. And has she accepted? Asked the Luna. There was more silence. I want to finish high school while I think about it, I said. The Luna laughed. She wants to live here for as long as possible before she rejects you the day after she graduates high school and then goes off to search for her parents. Mom, said Calix, the Luna's favorite. She stared at him. Honey, Chastity has not been treated well here, and you know it, said Calix. The Luna sighed. She's our mate, and things around here will reflect that, said Alex firmly. The eavesdropping party planner was looking at me with so much envy I actually feared for my life a little. She hates you 3, you know, said Rhonda, the party planner. She thinks you're all arrogant, overrated snobs. I paled. I looked at the triplets, half expecting them to turn on me. Calix had not even been listening to her. He was still pleading with his mother with his eyes. Alex was looking at the big birthday cake, and Felix was still looking at me, smirking. Felix was definitely going to try to sneak into my room tonight. I felt really warm thinking about it. They're old enough to decide, said Romeo. Let's cut the cake with Chastity, said Alex. Rhonda wheeled the huge cake out to the guests. Everyone began singing happy birthday and snapping pictures. I knew people wanted me out of the shot. They wanted pictures of the identical triplet alphas and birthday boys, but the guys would not let me go. Calix grabbed one wrist and Alex grabbed the other. Felix was standing behind me, squeezing my waist. This was the first time all three of the triplets had their hands on me, and I felt like fainting. I was so overwhelmed. What was I going to do when they all really got their hands on me? I had thought I did not have to worry about that anytime soon, but looking back on it, I should have worried more because all three brothers snuck me into one of their rooms that very night. Chapter 6. Good Night. I had always wanted the Thorne family to give me a proper bedroom, but now that the triplets wanted me to leave my little room, I stubbornly did not want to. Too much was changing too fast. The triplets were really annoyed that I would not stay in any of their rooms or in a guest bedroom. I went to my room and shut my door, locking it. It was after midnight. I had actually used Alex's bathroom to shower because he did not want me using the ground floor one because then I'd have to walk around in my robe to get back to my room, which is what I'd done for the past 9 years. I was exhausted, but I was curious about my gifts. Mina got me a designer sparkly baby pink party dress, and Tina got me a designer sparkly baby blue party dress. I smiled. The triplets had gotten me an iPhone, an iPad, and a MacBook. I was shocked. I knew they liked Apple products a lot, but I had never gotten any technological stuff before. This was my first cell phone at 18. I'd need their help to set it up. They also got me a proper winter coat, a baby blue one. It was so pretty. One of the gifts was a small envelope with a bow on it. It was a credit card with a note from the triplets with the pin, saying it to use to shop for whatever I needed. There was a pair of winter boots, also baby blue. I wondered how they knew my size, but then I remembered Alex's smell on all my clothes and smiled. There was a proper backpack for school. I honestly did not have one and would hold all my books or use a canvas grocery bag. I felt a little teary-eyed thinking about that. I had never really let myself notice all the normal things I did not have. I wiped my eyes hastily in response to a knock on the door. Felix? Come in, I said. Alex. You're driving me crazy, he said. Huh? He scooped me up and carried me out of the room bridal style. Thanks for all the gifts. They're really thoughtful and wonderful, I said softly. I kissed his cheek. He grinned. Calix and Felix were standing at the entrance of Alex's room. Alex carried me into the room and put me on the bed. Calix shut the door and Felix locked it. My stomach clenched. Where's my kiss for the presents? Asked Felix, pointing to his cheek. I jumped up, eager to get away from the bed, and kissed his cheek. He grinned. Calix tapped me on the shoulder. I giggled and he bent down so I could kiss his cheek. Let's get some rest. I couldn't stand that room that's really just a cleaning supplies cupboard, said Alex to Felix, who snickered. Hey, it was true, though. Time for bed, said Calix, moving to turn off the light. I was afraid of the dark and had begged their parents in tears for that nightlight. Calix quickly fetched it from my room. I kept waiting for them to make fun of me for being afraid of the dark, but they were arguing amongst themselves. I'm going on 2 nights no sleep because her scent in my room was driving me crazy, insisted Calix. Okay, so definitely Calyx, said Alex. Felix glared at his brothers. You rushed her today in all fairness, Felix, so tomorrow when you're in better control, you'll definitely be one of the two, okay? Tonight it's me and Calyx, said Alex. What about what she wants? Felix asked. They looked at me. I'm really tired, I said, not wanting to get in their argument. I was still really confused and a little nervous around them. I wanted to talk about the time they hit me and put me in the ice water, but I couldn't even think about it without getting too upset. I turned on the night light and turned off the bedroom light. I climbed into the middle of the huge bed. It dawned on me what was about to happen. My inner wolf was so excited. The human me was really nervous and unsure. Calyx climbed eagerly into bed. Spoon me, he said, and Alex will spoon you. Spoon? I asked. Alex got in on my other side. Felix spoke from the corner next to Alex. Oh, she's so innocent. The brothers all laughed. Can I please show her what spooning is, and then I'll go back to the corner, pleaded Felix. Fine, said Alex and Calyx in unison. Instead of coming over to me, Felix's hands reached out and snaked around me, pulling me to him. He pulled my back against his front and curved his body around me, putting his arm over me to snuggle me. It was so comfortable. I immediately started to feel sleepy. That's me spooning you, he told me. Now spoon me. He turned away from me. He was much bigger than me, but I snuggled into his back and put my arm around him. She gets it, now bring her over here, said Calyx. I was lifted and placed between Calyx and Alex. I was not even sure who lifted me, which made me kind of excited. My inner wolf was howling in delight again. I spooned Calyx now that I knew what that was, and Alex held me, his nose near my neck. You smell really good, Alex whispered in my ear. Calyx's and Alex's body heat was overwhelming. Being sandwiched between them, I could hardly keep my eyes open. I wanted to hate them. All three of them. I wanted to use this opportunity to break their triplet hearts, but my body craved them. I had to fight to not feel happy as Alex whispered to me. He seemed to have a lot he wanted to say to me now that we were lying here in the dark. You're so beautiful, he whispered. I was glad he could not see me blush. I've always thought that, you know. I could not let that one slide. As if, I said, getting annoyed with him again. Yes, I have, he insisted. I've always loved your hair. I've always pulled on the curls. You know that. I considered that part of their bullying. I stole this before I knew you were my mate, said Alex, showing me the hair tie he had put in his pocket the other day. I gasped. They had taken my hair tie because they thought my hair was pretty? Guys were so weird. Good night, Chastity, Alex whispered. Good night, Chastity, said Calyx. Good night, baby, said Felix. Good night, guys, I said. Can I kiss you? Alex whispered so softly I almost missed it. Okay, I said. Alex kissed my would-be marking spot. The tingles that shot through me made my whole body feel extra warm, and I drifted off into a deep, peaceful sleep. Chapter 7. Good morning. Everything that happened yesterday felt like a dream. Mina and Tina befriending me, all the presents and the triplets' confessions. I was actually afraid to open my eyes in case I found myself in my cot in the cleaning supply room and the triplets hated me again. However, I felt extremely warm. Too warm to be in a bed alone and too comfortable to be in my cot. I moaned, stretching out. It was only about 5 o'clock in the morning, but that was my usual wake-up time to start making the family's breakfast. I did not want their parents to despise me even more now that I might be interested in their sons. I wondered if I could sneak downstairs and start breakfast. The triplets did not wake up until noon on Sunday, but the parents would be up by 7 o'clock. I tried to extricate myself from Alex and Calyx. Alex woke up groaning and pulled me back to him. What are you doing? Do you have to use the bathroom or something? He asked groggily. He looked really cute with ruffled hair. I did not have the heart to lie to him. This is the time I usually wake up, I said softly. I have to make you guys breakfast. Calix laughed and yawned. We wake up at like noon, don't we? Yeah, but your parents wake up at 7, I said. They'll fend for themselves, don't worry, said Alex, tightening his grip on me. Felix stirred. He snatched me from Alex and Calix when their grips slackened. Hey, Calix protested. Felix draped me across his chest, which was quite comfortable. His hand found my behind again, and he started to squeeze my cheeks. This is what I was afraid of. What are you doing, Felix? Asked Alex suspiciously. I'm bonding with my gorgeous mate, said Felix. I remembered Felix eating the last pancake, so I got nothing, and telling me I was fat. I winced at the memory. Felix noticed my strange movement. Sorry, baby, he asked. You think I'm gorgeous? I said. You are, he said simply. The other day you called me fat, I said. Felix stiffened. From the silence, I could tell that Calix and Alex were uncomfortable too. And you took the last pancake. I literally ate nothing that day. I spent the whole day organizing stuff for you guys, I said. The memories flooded back. Shh, baby, I'm so sorry, whispered Felix, kissing my forehead. Don't touch me, I screamed. I jumped out of bed. The triplets all sat up. Felix, you fucker, what did you do? She wasn't scared before, yelled Alex. Yes, I was! I screamed so loudly that all the triplets jumped and their parents literally ran into the room. I burst into tears, sobbing uncontrollably. I was so confused. The triplets rushed to comfort me. No, bellowed their father, still powerful despite making them the new alphas. They sat back down. What is she doing in here? He asked quietly. His tone was dangerous. I can't sleep with her in that cleaning supplies room. I can't stand it, said Alex, taking responsibility. Then why did you not put her in a guest room? Asked Romeo. Their mother was quiet, letting their father handle this. Said Alex. Look, Dad, everything was good, wasn't it, Chastity? Asked Calix sweetly. It's my fault, said Felix, and he sounded truly broken. I've been pushing her a lot, and I'm sorry. She was literally so happy up until she came over to my side of the bed, which was 5 minutes ago. I felt sad for myself, but now the stupid mate bond was making me want to comfort Felix. Felix, we're okay, right? I asked softly, my inner wolf needing reassurance. Since when was I so weak? Always, baby. I fucking love you, Chastity, he said. His brothers looked shocked. My eyes widened. Did he mean that? It sounded so real. My inner wolf told me he did. I was not expecting Felix to fall the hardest and the fastest. He had been the meanest. Romeo ignored Felix's confession of love for me. Chastity is very young. She is 18. You boys are still young. You are 21. You have had numerous girlfriends in swift rotation, said Romeo. Major shade from their dad. As far as I know, Chastity cleans, cooks, and studies, and that's about it. You can't sneak your very inexperienced mate in here at night. There's 3 of you, and you all hated each other a day before yesterday. It's too much for her, said Romeo. Whoa. Did Romeo actually care about me? He definitely loved his boys. Maybe now that they had been fated to me, he had to salvage what remained of my well-being. We really didn't do any mating stuff, though, Calix said. Maybe in your eyes, honey, cooed Calix's mom. But in Chastity's eyes, it may seem different. The triplets were looking crestfallen, and I desperately wanted to comfort them. I was wholeheartedly regretting my scream. I wanted this awkward moment to be over. Let me start on breakfast. It's already late, I said, turning to leave. Felix rushed at werewolf speed, closed the door, and stood in front of it. I know I already fucked up this morning, but while I'm ahead, Felix shrugged. Over my dead body, princess. I stared at him. I am still one of the alphas of this pack, and whether you want to be with me or not, you will never lift a finger in this house again, said Felix, narrowing his eyes. Hire a maid and a cook again. 2 each if it's too much for one person, Felix directed this at his parents. They looked annoyed, but Felix was an alpha. I agree, said Alex, nodding. Same, said Calix, winking at his mom so she would not get too mad. She ruffled Calix's hair and left with Felix opening the door for her. Before today is over, sort out the bedroom situation and decide which guest bedroom will become Chastity's, said their father. He left. All the triplets were once again sitting on the bed with me standing nearby. Baby, I'm sorry for all the times I called you fat, said Felix. I was so shocked, I actually laughed. Alex rolled his eyes. What my idiot brother meant was, you're beautiful. I blushed. I realized Alex had never actually called me fat. I remembered him claiming to have always had a crush on me. I wondered if that were really true. Calix was the only one who had ever complimented me before the mate bond. He would be the easiest to forgive. I went over to Felix and put my arms around him and climbed into his lap. My wolf was screaming at me to do it. I decided to give in. Alex and Calix looked shocked. Felix nuzzled my nose with his. I realized Felix's wolf had been calling to mine. I realized something else. I've never seen any of your wolves, I said. The triplets grinned. They were wide awake now. Chapter 8. Running with Wolves. The alpha triplets stood barefoot in the snow like it was no big deal. I turned away. I was not ready to see them. I caught a glimpse of Felix as though by accident, and even in the freezing cold, it was extremely thick and long. They were identical triplets, so I was worried for myself. They shifted much more quickly than I did. It took them barely 10 seconds to break their bones and grow fur, becoming wolves before my very eyes. They were shiny black wolves reflecting their hair color. They were huge. I hid behind a nearby snow-covered tree. They gave me my privacy. Shifting was still painful for me. It took me about 5 minutes. I trotted out to show them my sandy wolf. They playfully circled me. I was half their size. We ran through the snow. I could tell them apart in wolf forms by their mannerisms. Felix bounded. He had heavy steps. He snarled and growled playfully a lot. Alex was often in the lead and had the most fluid movements. He slowed his pace to run beside me, watching over me carefully, protectively. Calix was extremely playful. He was the first to nip me. He tackled me gently and we rolled around in the snow. Then he ran circles around me, showing me how fast he could go. We must have spent hours playing as our wolves, and we were adults. I wondered why we had never played together as children in our human forms. I ran behind my tree to shift back and dress myself. The boys shifted back and dressed, following me as I walked inside. We need to talk, I told them. They looked mortified. Get used to us having talks, I told them. They were alphas, but I was their future Luna if I decided to be with them. There were 3 of them and only one of me, so I had to learn to be firm with them. I wanted respect. We went to Felix's room, the only room I had not seen yet. He had artwork covering the walls, which was completely not what I was suspecting. Who drew all of these? I asked. I did, said Felix, grinning. Felix? A sensitive artist? What parallel universe had I entered? The drawings and paintings depicted wolves. I recognized the triplets in their wolf forms in many of the drawings. I noticed one with 5 wolves. The other 2 must be their parents. There were random sketches of items and portraits of family members and some of their school friends. Felix did not seem to have any artwork of Tonya or his other ex-girlfriends, which made me relieved. I spotted one picture of a girl. It was a painting. I gasped. It was me, sitting on the porch steps looking out at the snow. All of his artwork was dated. The painting of me was from about a year ago. I looked at Felix, waiting for an explanation. I told you, he said simply. I think you're gorgeous. I blushed. You're giving me anxiety, Chastity. Let's have this talk. Come on, encouraged Calix. We sat on the bed. Felix and Calix were sitting so close to me. I felt really warm. Alex was sitting behind me. I was so lost in all of this, I momentarily forgot what I wanted to talk about. Talk, Chastity, said Alex in my ear. Right, so I have a question, I said. The triplets waited for me to ask it. Why did you hate me so much growing up? And please really think about it and give me a real answer, not something dumb like we were boys, we were stupid. Those aren't good reasons. I've always wondered why we could never be friends, I said, sighing. Is it just 'cause I'm poor and burdensome in your parents' eyes? Was that it? The triplets kept silent. Were they trying to make me forget about the talk? In my case, said Felix, you frustrated me. Huh? I thought you were a cute little girl when I was a little boy. You came to us after a tragedy, and I didn't get that. You were sullen and cried all the time, and I was also just a little stupid at that age, said Felix. His brothers laughed. I liked teasing you, but it got out of hand, and the dynamic continued. I didn't know how to fix it. Also, you would be on my mind a lot, and I was angry that I couldn't get you out of my head. It makes sense now that I know you're my mate, but back then, I'd be annoyed every time I saw you. Sometimes, I'd be making out with whoever my girlfriend was at the time. I flinched and Felix kissed my fingertips, my wrist. And I'd be thinking about you, obsessively. Sometimes... Never mind, said Felix. No, tell me, I insisted, fascinated by his transparency. Sometimes I'd call a girl Charity by accident, he said, mentioning my nickname. Sorry for that nickname. That was rude. There's no shame in being poor. I can't believe I acted like that. Felix sighed. It's so close to my real name, it really stuck. Most pack members think Charity is my name, I said, smiling. Felix frowned. I'll fix that myself, and soon, said the Alpha. I wondered what he was going to do. I did not want to be reintroduced to the pack as their future Luna. I still needed time to make up my mind. Alex went next. I always thought you were cute too, but our parents hated your parents. They'd racked up so many debts. You'd always talk about how great your parents were and how mean mine were. I started to think you were ungrateful, but now I realize that if my parents were going to treat you like that, then you might as well have gone to an orphanage. There's really no excuse, Chastity. I'm sorry, said Alex. Calix took a deep breath. I just went along with everything. Mom also said you were here to repay a debt, not to be a playmate. There were a lot of things I liked about you, and I should not have picked on you like that. That was totally wrong. I'm so sorry. I sighed. We had to talk about the incident. It was bothering me. Last night, I was a little afraid being in bed, I admitted. Because you're a virgin, said Felix. Baby, I know. No, not that. I kept thinking about when Calix insulted me and said my parents were dead and I broke his nose. Then you guys... I paused, shuddering. This was really hard to talk about. All the triplets stiffened, their faces pale. Then you each slapped me, then you put me in the ice fishing hole until I went unconscious. I screamed for my life that day when you were dragging me to that hole. I really thought you were going to kill me. I could have died, I said, holding back tears. The triplets were silent. You don't ever have to forgive us, but just be ours anyway, said Calix. For what it's worth, we really weren't trying to drown you. We just wanted to scare you. But even before the mate bond, I would feel sick when I would think about that day. That was a heinous act, and I'll never forgive myself, said Felix. If you had drowned, we would have never found our mate and not known why. We would be searching for someone already lost to us. We would deserve that, but you, Chastity, after all you fought for, you deserve the best life imaginable. Please let us give you that life, said Alex. Please, Chastity. We're so sorry, said Calix. I sighed. I could get used to this. They were all looking at me with hungry eyes. Have you ever kissed anyone? Asked Calix suddenly. No, I said, blushing. The triplets exchanged glances. We want to kiss you, Felix said. I bit my lip nervously. I'm not sure if I'm ready yet, I said. That's okay, said Alex. My inner wolf was howling at me to kiss them. Were you guys disappointed when you realized I was your mate? I asked. No, of course not, said Alex. I went inside your room and laid on your bed, said Calix. I remembered Calix's scent on my bed and smiled. I went through your things, said Alex sheepishly. Sorry, it just hit me how little you actually had, so I wanted to see what you needed me to buy you. I nodded. Alex was the practical one. I freaked out because I thought you'd reject us because I knew we'd been horrible to you, mumbled Felix. He wasn't entirely wrong. I had considered leaving. I realized what was up when I came back from my first shift and smelled something amazing, and it was each of your rooms, I explained. The triplets grinned. So I went into Calix's room to investigate. I was too terrified to go into either of the other two rooms in case you guys got pissed. I was least afraid of Calix, I admitted. Calix smiled. Alex and Felix stiffened uncomfortably. Then I was not sure what to do. I tried to avoid you all for as long as possible while I worked out some of my feelings. I thought you guys would reject me, actually, I said. What? Said Felix, laughing. His eyes widened. Never, said Alex. We've been waiting for our mate 3 years since we shifted, said Calix. So how come you always dated random girls, I asked. We're men. We have needs, said Felix simply. His brothers glared at him but did not say anything to the contrary. When I was setting up the party, I thought I'd have to watch you three slow dancing with your girlfriends while I served drinks, I said, chuckling sadly. Their jaws literally dropped. The triplets looked aghast. I giggled at their expressions. Felix's blue eyes darkened a little. I remembered how I had to be careful with my giggles around him and his wolf. He pulled me into him. Tingles shot through me. I want to take you on a date, baby, Felix said, his voice husky. Sure, I said weakly. Chapter 9. Date night. After a late burnt brunch made by the former Alpha and his Luna, I went around the house with Alex to choose my new room. I had cleaned all of these guest rooms and their adjacent bathrooms before. I knew exactly which room I wanted, but not because of the bedroom itself. It had a bathroom with a huge bathtub attached. I had always wanted to soak in that tub. Sometimes I would lie in it and take a nap in the midst of cleaning. I was too afraid to try to use it in case someone realized and I got in trouble. The room was on the ground floor, though, and Alex was disappointed. I want you on our floor, he said, sighing. I want to bathe in that bathtub, I admitted. Alex laughed. He grumbled to himself. Sure, I guess it's temporary. Eventually, all 4 of us will sleep in the same room anyway. We can each keep our separate rooms to work in, Alex mused to himself. Alex seemed so certain that I would stay and become their Luna. I felt guilty. Maybe I had not been clear about how conflicted I was. Felix and Calix were off somewhere. Our date is at 7, Alex informed me with a small smile as he moved stuff to my new room. He did not want me carrying anything and got grumpy every time I tried, so I was lying on my new bed while he arranged my stuff according to my instructions. This was a departure from the norm. Me relaxing. The eldest alpha triplet working. You need to have respect for your alphas, Charity, Alex said, using my awful nickname. The memory hit me out of nowhere. I sat up so quickly, panting a little. Alex dropped what he was doing and rushed to me. Chastity, what's wrong? He said, holding my shoulders and scrutinizing me. Just a memory, I mumbled without thinking. Alex winced. I felt his guilt as if it were my own. I felt his regret and shame, too. I had to get away from him to breathe a little bit. I had nothing to do now that my day was not filled with the upkeep of the huge pack house. I'm going for a walk, I said. He looked upset, but he did not try to stop me. I ran out the front door. The wind tossed my curls about, tangling them. It was freezing. The snow was crunchy and deep. It was dark already despite being early in the afternoon. There were not any other houses for miles. It was about a mile walk to the nearest bus stop, but no buses worked here on Sundays. I sighed. I wished I had a car, but I did not even have my license. I looked at the 5 cars parked in the driveway. 1 SUV for each triplet. 1 for the former Alpha, and 1 for his Luna. I knew the triplets would get me a car and teach me to drive if I asked, but we had not discussed finances properly yet. What about all the money my parents owed their parents? I was no longer working off my debt, and the triplets had bought me so many expensive things for my birthday. It seemed like I was incurring more debt. I knew those were gifts, but what if I decided to leave in 7 months? Would they turn on me and want their money back? I was so lost in my thoughts I walked right into Felix. He caught me. He was bundled up in his coat and boots. He was furious. I assumed it was towards me. He scooped me up and ran inside, slamming the door. Calix appeared. What the fuck was she doing out there like that, Alex? Bellowed Felix, stomping back into my new room with me in his arms to confront Alex. Felix threw me on the bed. I bounced a little. I yelped, not expecting that. Felix, what the fuck? Yelled Alex, referring to how he had tossed me. Sorry, baby, said Felix, quickly running his hands all over me, looking for bruises. We both knew there were none. My inner wolf was purring. Felix was her favorite because he was the most in touch with his lupine side. Felix was definitely not my favorite. I scampered away from him, coming to my senses. What was she doing out there by herself, no coat, no boots, in the snow? Snapped Felix, glaring at Alex. Alex folded his arms. I thought you were watching her, Felix added. I was not a child. I had been taking care of the family a few days ago. I had more responsibilities than them before they became alphas. She wanted to go for a walk, Alex said simply. And you let her go like that? Felix snarled. Alex sighed. Yeah, he said softly. She was thinking about some difficult memories and she was a little panicked. I could tell she needed to be away from me, from all of us for a little while, Alex added. I was surprised he had understood me so well. Calix sat on the bed and pulled me to him while his elder brothers talked. He breathed in my scent. He groaned. He started kissing my neck, licking and biting the skin without breaking it. I was trembling, but I was not scared of him. He focused on a spot. I knew he was giving me a hickey on purpose. Tomorrow I had school where there were a lot of unmated males. Females who had found their mates but were not marked properly yet usually had hickeys. It was an unspoken thing, a don't touch sign. I had never seen hickeys on any of the triplets' ex-girlfriends. Alex and Felix stopped their argument, noticing what Calix was doing. The other 2 alphas climbed the bed, their eyes lustful and hungry. I shivered. Calix handed me to Alex, who started peppering my neck with kisses until he found a spot he liked. He sucked on it, relishing the way my skin tasted. Calix was taking my shoes and socks off. The youngest alpha started massaging my feet, soothing me. He could tell I was anxious. Alex gently gave me to Felix, who immediately latched onto my neck. Felix's hands roamed my body. I tried not to get excited, but my inner wolf was going crazy, and Felix could tell. He released me, though, panting. I quickly jumped off the bed, hyper aware that they were looking at the 3 fresh hickeys on my neck with great satisfaction. They got up to leave. Don't forget date night, Calix reminded me cheerfully on the way out.